Okay, so this is a 10-minute lesson on how to send your kids to the best colleges in America for pennies on the dollar, regardless of your income and assets. With a little advanced planning, and a couple good strategies, you can get your child into a top-notch university for a wholesale price. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, these are maybe some schools you've heard of. We're talking about significant discount or reduction off the price of admissions by executing the strategies that we're talking about here. So how much does college cost these days? Well, here we have a private university, we have a state university, we have a UC, and we have a out-of-state public school. So you want to take a guess at how much these cost? Okay, well if you guess 248 for USC, you're correct. Private schools, most private schools cost that much. Talking about UC's 133 or 33 per year for UC, that's about average. We're talking about Cal Poly, 97,000 or 24,000 a year. And if we're talking about a out-of-state public school like University of Washington, 186,000 or 46,000 a year. Some can be a little bit higher than that, but that's about average. So that begs the question: is how are people paying for this with these kinds of numbers? Well, the first place that people go is they go to their college savings accounts. Well, the issue is that the college savings accounts have not been able to keep up with the rising cost of college. So the average family has about $17,000 in 529s right now. So, they end up becoming short. And when you become short, parents go, instead of using the college savings accounts, many of them will spend their life savings on college expenses. Here we got a family that has 17,000 at 529, about almost 600,000 in retirement, and 75,000 in just an emergency savings account. If they're trying to send a child to University of Washington at 186,000, many of them are liquidating their savings accounts and to pay for college. And in this instance, this family is still $93,000 short on a $186,000 cost to send one child. So the family say that they don't have the savings. Well, many of them will do an installment plan. The schools give you a 10-month installment plan normally. So they look at 46,000 and they say, okay, well, we'll just do that over 10 months, 4,600 a month, right? And there are many there are parents that can do that. The issue that happens is because of limited planning, the parent does not foresee if they will have two children going to school at the same time. And if they do, then their monthly expenses are $9,200 a month, right, to send both children to a school like University of Washington. Some parents don't take the installments. They may take the loans. For one child, that's $186,000 in debt for this parent. Taking out a 10-year loan at 6.41% interest. By the time they've paid this loan back, they've paid back $263,000. That's $77,000 in interest that they've paid. A lot of parents ask me, like, why don't the students take out the loans? Well, the reason why is because the interest rates and the terms are usually worse for the students. This is at 6%, 6.41. Many of the student loans are at 11%, so it just makes the numbers far more intense to look at. So, what did I do? Well, not too long ago, I was just like you. My mother was an English teacher, my father was a history teacher, and I wanted to go to college. I also had a younger brother that wanted to go to college as well. So I played football and I ran track because I thought that was how I was going to get the scholarship money to get an education. And it turned out that I really wasn't a Division I player, so I really couldn't command the kind of money necessary to pay these college expenses off. I had a 2.8 GPA and I had a 1720 in today's numbers on my SAT. I really looked at how much these colleges cost, and I thought I couldn't see how my parents could do this without borrowing the money, and that really disturbed me. I went to my counselors and my teachers, and their advice was to go to community college because it was cheaper, and that your GPA and SAT scores were too low to get a scholarship academically or to even get accepted to any good colleges. But I wanted to go to a top private university, Boston University. At the time, it was charging average about $50,000 per year while I was going. It was about $200,000 education. What did I do? Well, I quit the football team and the track team, and I spent the time that I would have been practicing in libraries, coffee shops, and bookstores, doing everything I could to increase my grades, my SAT scores, finding out what colleges were looking for and what they would be willing to pay for. I also visited a lot of admissions offices and college offices and called them, just trying to get them to give me some kind of information that I could use. What ended up happening was I got $41,000 to attend. You may not be able to see this, but this is my offer, and it says, "We are pleased to offer you a tentative financial award of $41,325." By luck, what I learned paid off big time. I ended up getting a 4-year award valued at 178 grand. 165,000 all of it was money I didn't have to pay back. I was the only athlete in my high school to get over $100,000, despite having a 2.8 and really being last minute in my planning, which I would not recommend to anyone. It cost my parents $20,000 to send me to Boston University. Most parents at that time were spending 10 times the amount to get the same education. So I graduated business school. Majored in accounting, got my first job as a college planner for a financial planning firm. My job was to help their clients save money on college expenses so that these parents didn't have to liquidate their investments. Well, it didn't take long before, no matter what the situation was or who the person was, divorced, high income, executives, attorneys, accountants, I was able to really provide them with good information and to really help them to save a lot of money. So after a while, I started creating these same kinds of results for these clients. Then I decided to create a company that maximizes your grants and scholarships, negotiates with financial aid offices to increase your awards, and draft plans for parents so that they can pay for college without getting into debt, without spending their life savings, without sacrificing their current lifestyle, or just going broke. So I want to teach you guys a little bit of, a strategy that one of the strategies that I use to save a lot of money for people. This is called a need-based formula. First term is cost of attendance, COA. What cost of attendance is the yearly cost to attend a university, right? Includes tuition, room and board, living expenses, books, travel. So we go back. I'm talking about these numbers here, 60,000, 24,000, 46,000. Well, when you fill out a FAFSA, a lot of people don't know this. When you fill out a FAFSA, what that FAFSA really is, a financial aid form, is a calculator that looks at several things that you've completed and determines how much you can afford to spend per year to send your kids to college. So that's the magic letter. When these FAFSAs are filled out, it spits out a number called your expected family contribution. When you fill out this form, it calculates how much you can pay per year for college. And you do it every year like your taxes when your kids are in college. There's 74 factors that affect your EFC, so there's a lot of different questions, about 130 questions, and it's looking at 74 things. But the top 6 factors that form looks at is what your income is as a parent, your net worth, your student's income, your student's net worth, your household size, and the number of kids in college. So let's run a scenario real quick and see what happens. So here we have a family makes $300,000 a year. Okay, number one, I use this number because a lot of parents are under the assumption that someone who makes $300,000 per year would not qualify for anything under a FAFSA. And, that's false. The second reason why I do this is because if I'm showing someone, if I'm showing a scenario with someone that has a $300,000 income, which, puts you in about top 5% of income earners, you can assume that if someone has a $100,000 income or a $200,000 income or less than that, that they're probably going to get more in aid done properly, right? So I'm using a very high income to prove a point, but if the income is lower, then it's just going to be better and easier, right? Parents' net worth is $100,000. They have money markets, they have retirement accounts, they have some savings, and they have home equity. Kids don't, kid doesn't work, kid doesn't have any assets. There's 5 people in the house, and we have 2 kids going to college. One student that maybe went to Cal Poly, and then we have another student coming up so far. So when we turn in this form and we fill out and figure out what their EFC is, what they're supposed to be paying, we find out that number is $39,992 for this child coming up. So what can we do with this? Well, here's another lesson. It's the magic formula. whatever the school cost minus your expected family contribution, that's the number we just calculated. When you fill out the forms, this is what you're eligible for. This is what you're supposed to pay. Well, whatever the school cost minus what you're supposed to pay is your financial need. And the number one question is which college will meet a high percentage of your financial need? So let's look at this here. So if we're going to a school that costs $62,000 and our EFC is $39,000, we're eligible for $22,000. So the question is what college will meet a high percentage of that need? Okay, well, I went into my client files, and that was a hypothetical situation, but I went into one of my client files, found somebody, very similar situation. We have a husband and wife, both accountants, earning $276,000, net worth $800,000, their EFC is 29, and we selected Pepperdine University as a school that would be able to give them some money based off of their need, financial need. Let's see what happens. Well, we get the award. We have work study. We have grants, subsidized Stafford loan, unsubsidized loan, parent loans. Let's ignore parent loans and just look at these top. But this is offered total $25,000 and some change. But if we're just looking at the grants and scholarships, it's about $21,000 in free money per year. That's 37% off, or $87,584 total saved by planning. Which school is going to give them enough money? So, we look and find schools and we see which ones are going to give us the biggest discounts off the cost of attendance. These are all actual results. Okay? And I want to just leave you with one more example. Here we have a family that has a $10,000 expected family contribution. And we're looking at one school that charges $40,000. Their financial need is $30,000. Everybody follow that? They're also looking at another school that's cheaper, $20,000. Their ESC is still $10,000, but at this school their financial need is $10,000. School A meets 100% of their need. 80% of the money they give you is gift aid, 20% is money you don't have to pay, is student loans, work study. Here, the school only meets 60% of the need, so they only give us $6,000 of the $10,000 that we need, so they're $4,000 short. Of the $6,000 that they gave us, 50% is free money, 50% is student loans. So let's see what happens. Well, the parent has a $10,000 EFC. They get $24,000 in free money, $16,000 in student loans and work study. So that's 16, correct? Over here, they have $10,000, but the school is short $4,000, so we have to add that back to total $14,000. They get $3,000 in grants, $3,000 in work study student loans. What's that? $17,000. So which school is cheaper? The $20,000 school or the $40,000 school? The $40,000 school is cheaper because it costs us $16,000, and over here it costs us $17,000. So this is a tool, a couple tools that we use. Truth is, we use a lot of different tools to save money for people. We may look at the student's GPA and SAT score and just determine that if they pick to go to a particular institution, and that school is going to award them merit scholarships, and we don't even have to look at any of this stuff, right? But I just wanted to show you a couple of techniques that we use in order to save money for parents. You guys learn anything so far? Okay, let's just keep moving.